to sharpen yourself, to wheel your mind and body into this instrument of war. Discipline. As I reflected, he who conquers himself is mightier than 1,000 times 1,000 men. The only way that you can conquer yourself and to move past this is the renewing of one's mind. We just can't blindly walk through life, right? Doing the same things, hoping to be a better person. Waking up at the same time, popping the same pills, talking to the same people, expecting the same things out of the externals, hoping that would be different. And I started reading, more about the philosophies of Bushido. Up until now, it was about combat, Budo. How can I be an effective warrior? But now it was about winning the war within me. You see, the enemies are placed in all of us. There's an enemy stronger than the external enemy, and that's the enemy you have inside. The truth that you placed on yourself, which is not even actual truth. So I had to kill this truth. There's nothing more important in life as a warrior to be stronger than the conditions and circumstances that are presented to us. Nietzsche, the philosopher, once said that chaos is needed in oneself to give way to a dancing star. Without chaos, there will be no armies to fight, no mountains to climb or dragons to slay. Without chaos, there will be no realization to one's actual truth. You see, I was born on a cold cement floor in the basement of Saigon Hospital. My mother shielded my body from incoming artillery fire in the morning of my birth. At this stage of the war, American troops had left Vietnam, and I was born on the losing side of the war, a war between communism and democracy. Democracy lost. The communists, they imposed their ideologies on us. At 3 months old, I lost my freedoms, I lost my country. We lived underneath communist occupation. My uncles that served alongside Americans were immediately brought out to re-education camps. These were torture camps. Any person that fell ill, hurt, injured from these hard labor camps were brought out into the jungles and quietly murdered. We escaped genocide when I was 3 years old on an overstuffed wooden fishing boat with hundreds of thousands of other fleeing refugees at that time. We were the boat people. There was an estimated 400,000 refugees died at sea. But yet on this night, my mother loaded us in the basement of this wooden boat.
The idea of the modern samurai is a controversial one. Whilst this documentary is not in its original form, the message of the modern samurai is not something we wish to keep secret. My brother Luke and myself ventured to Colorado, where we find Tulam, the CEO and founder of Ronin Tactics, the man who developed the modern samurai. We integrate our lives with Tulam and his family to find out what it really means to be the modern samurai, the way of the Ronin.
What do you think, Jordy? You feel the power?
I'm liking it, yeah.
Every time I come out of the neighborhood, that's the view I see, So beautiful. We came to North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, the home of the biggest special operations base in all of America. More commandos there than walks the face of America. One central location, the training grounds of the Green Beret Special Forces. See, I went there because my uncle was Special Forces. He was this officer and he was going through his command. So we lived in this officer quarters. And I tell you, man, I never lived in such comfort. I never ate a meal every day, you know? So this was new for me. And I remember I walked down this hallway. You know, he had all his military accomplishments. Green Beret. I remember looking at all of it and just admiring how weird that was. Didn't know what a warrior was at that time, you know. It's only 6. So eventually we moved out, and we moved into a very poor part of town. And we lived in a very small apartment, and the only furniture that we had was one used full-size mattress. You know, I remember going to school. It was a very hard time in my life, you know, growing up there. It was very racist times in America back then.
No one said the adjustment of Vietnamese refugees to life in the United States would be easy. The differences in culture and customs are enormous.
Immigrants, we have serious economic problems. The 120,000 refugees who are...
Town officials blame Washington for simply dumping refugees and expecting them to get along.
They're just not our kind of people, and they're vicious, cruel people, and they're going to take and grab what they
have shown
want.
everything from discreet opposition to outright hostility to this Asian influx. Even those who support the refugees say this isn't hospitality.
Mr. Beam, the Grand Dragon of the Texas Ku Klux Klan, has issued an ultimatum, and that is that if the Vietnamese are not out, he will take matters in his own hands.
You know, I was being picked on, I wasn't accepted. You know, we were called all sorts of names, and it was actually supported by the parents of these kids and the teacher, because they didn't like refugees moving into their hometown. And second, I was the face of an unpopular war. So, substitute teacher days are my worst days, you know. They try to pronounce my name. My name's pronounced Tu Tung Lam. And a lot of people can't pronounce that. But this persistent substitute teacher tried to pronounce my name, and that egged on the class to make fun of me. Throw paper at me and tell me how much I don't belong here. You know, I don't know why it hit me harder that day than any other day. I'm reminded that every single day. But on this day, I was defeated. That night, I sat in that room on this used mattress. And I reflected on this day. My mother must have sensed something's wrong, because she came in and she said something to me that will carry me through the Special Forces. She said to me, we will always have our bad days. Every one of us will have our bad days. But what did you learn from it? And who's the person you will become? No, I didn't understand. I wanted to give up on life. I didn't know what to do, but I knew there was something stronger than hate. I just, at the time, couldn't put my, how can you at that young of age, 9? So beautiful. Lou, you see? This is crazy. You know, we're here in Colorado. And not a lot of people, anytime somebody comes to Colorado, they think about Garden of the Gods. And that's where we're here today. Garden of the Gods, you know, this land created by God, nature. This is Ronin. Look at the bonsai. You see these trees. Look, you agree these trees are so beautiful?
I think along with the quietness.
You know what makes these trees so beautiful? You come with me and look. See how the trees are warped and bent? You see it? It looks almost bonsai-like.
Yeah, oh yeah.
See, look.
Yeah.
The reason for that is the wind. The wind and the harsh weather of this environment. Everything gets channelized here. The wind, the rain, right? It forces you it forces this tree to warp and bend and do something beautiful. Through struggles, we find beauty. So I continued to go to school, continued to get picked on, and then at a certain point, my parents divorced. And eventually we moved into my future stepfather's home. He was Special Forces. He was a drill sergeant, you know. I went from 0 discipline to 150 miles of discipline, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, raising the American flag, putting my hand over my heart, waking up to the ballad of the Special Forces. You know, and our life was so strict, and we had dress codes and academics and, you know, chores, many, many hours of chores. And a life that I never asked for, and I struggled. I struggled with this level of discipline. I never seen this level of discipline before. I struggled. A year passed since my parents' divorce. My mother came in with this cardboard box, and she said, "This is from your father, you know." Haven't heard from my father in over a year. There was 4 VHS tapes, written in Vietnamese, dubbed. Couldn't read it back then, I was so young. So I randomly picked up a tape, I threw it into VCR. It was the art of Budo, the combat side of being samurai, the way of a warrior, to live this life of higher purpose, to not allow the conditions to influence you, because your why is so powerful. My uncle picked me up, and he must have seen something was wrong. He's taking me to Dairy Queen. My uncle asked me, just out of the blue, he said something to me that, well, obviously stuck to me. He said, you know, there'll be days. There'll be days that people spit on you. There'll be days that people flick you off and push you down. You need to ask yourself, do you want to be a fucking commando today? The days that your bones ache. When you feel like your bones are about to shatter because the sheer load that you're carrying on your back through training to form yourself into a weapon. When you want to quit, you need to ask yourself, you want to be a fucking commando? When it's cold outside and it's 4 o'clock in the morning, you know the right thing to do is get up and run because you're a weapon that our country relies on. But it's comfortable and it's warm on this bed. You need to ask yourself, you want to be a fucking commando? You know, I was 11 years old. I was so taken back. At that stage in my life, I was defeated, you know. I was just a weak human being, picked on, told I didn't belong. Born in war and insurgency, escaped genocide, on a boat. Many people died, refugee camps, slept with rats. In America, where I wasn't accepted, I was this weak child. And I realized that at that age, that I didn't want to be that. So I was going to forge myself into a weapon. So Bushido became the way. Bushido. Bu means to stop evil, to intercept the spear, to go to war. She is the one, the chosen one, who can walk this path. And Do is to take your whole life lesson to give back to sacred humanity. Bushido, a warrior's path. Commando, the special forces. When I first joined the military, there was no direct entry into the special forces. So I first started off with the 82nd Airborne Division at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I went to Ranger School when I was 19 years old, and then I went into a amphibious long-range reconnaissance team. When I was 20 years old, I applied for the Special Forces because I was fast-tracking in promotion. I received a rank of E5 in a year and a half in the Army, so that qualified me for Special Forces training. Going to Special Forces training at 21 years old was very hard, right? But I had the mindset that a Bushido, you know, I will die for this. So I went through Special Forces training in '97, graduated, got to the Special Forces A teams in Okinawa, Japan. later on that year in '97. 21 years old, Okinawa, Japan. You know, I wanted to put you on my first day. So proud. Young Green Beret, you know. I remember I was so happy. My team was rotating back through from a mission. They were coming out of Laos, and I was going to meet them. And, you know, they came back, and I had to report to work that morning. I was going to meet my team. You know, I was so proud to be a Special Forces Green Beret. Starch uniform, spit shine boots, Green Beret. Knocked on the door, you know, "Hi, my name is Stu," and they shut the door. Knocked on the door again, they opened the door, and just said, "You're the new guy?" I'm like, "Yeah," and they shut the door again. You see, in the Special Forces, it's a type A personality, right? And you as the new guy have to come in very humble, and you're gonna be fucked with. And you're gonna be told that you're not even worth being here. I served with Special Forces, went to the more of the counter-terrorist side of the house, which is the Team SIF guys. Went into Iraq, cross-train, counter-tracking. So basically we're training how to track down human beings in a jungle environment through smell, through tracks, through scent. So we would live in Malaysia for roughly a month for survival, and then I rotated back, and then I did tracking school, which was a month and a half long, and then we rotated back in again and did jungle warfare training. This is when I was part of the counter-terrorist team. Here I am, you know, 24 years old. So, you know, Okinawa, Japan, to the Philippines, and to Malaysia, to Korea, so just all through Southeast Asia. You know, I went through different countries. I served in a special missions unit where I did special reconnaissance during the global war. I deployed all through the world, 27 countries. You know, I started off in Asia, and then I fought the wars in the Middle East through multiple countries, and then we did a global pursuit. We hunted them down anywhere in the world. There was a point of lost that I picked up the sword of hate. That was the strongest energy that I found at that point. Hate. We were fighting the global war we were fighting a war in Iraq. At that stage of the war, Saddam has been captured and handed over to the Iraqi government, and this brought in a new reign of terror as Zarqawi and his army of foreign fighters came in and set up terror safe havens. What I'm saying, those were the bloody years. The war.
Too, just I know we're just off camera. You've explained some of the mental torture you was put through. Is there another example of that you could share with us?
Well, without getting into in the classified area of it, but you know, during SEER training, survival, evasion, resistance, escape training, you know, you're a prisoner of war. And there's certain levels of this training, high risk level. In Special Forces, you have to go through the high risk level of SEER, which you are a prisoner of war. During this phase of training, you know, they teach you how to escape, you know, so this came with, you know, experience from prisoners of war in the Special Forces regiment. During a resistance training, you know, you're captured, you're a prisoner. And they put you in this box. It's a man-made box, you know. It's a coffin. The box is so tight that they cram you in this box. You can barely breathe. They close you in this box, and sometimes the only way to close it is you have to inhale. This box so tight, crammed, and then they start drilling this box shut. You can hear it. You're blindfolded in this box. And they lower this box into a hole, and then you can hear sand as you're being buried alive. Can you imagine the psychological effects of that? When 9/11 failed and we knew that the Special Forces is going to be one of the first responses to the global war, My father gave me this flag. This flag was put on my back. I carried it on my back, and if I was to fall in combat, this flag was to be wrapped around my body. So this flag has been through a lot of countries, you know, during the war. You know, so this flag right here was, it was wrapped around my friend, and his name is Tung Nguyen. It was during an op, and you know, he was shot, and we lost him that night. And that flag was draped around when we flew him back to MSS to say our final words before he went back to the States. But you know, that was the flag. I was in Missouri, underneath the shaded tree, and you know, I was watching my friend being lowered into his final resting place. My friend that I knew since I was 18. This beautiful human being being lowered into his final resting place, and you know, I'm trying to grasp these emotions here. And in the distance, I can hear protesters, you know, hiding behind what they believe is religion, protesting against a political movement within the military. Things that are outside of even our control. But yet here they are. Thanking God for this day. Thanking God for dead soldiers.
What is the post support from war, from the military? Like the support after you retire, what's the on the military side, what's the support like?
You know, it is changing in America, but the treatment that, you know, I was, you know, was given wasn't that great. It was, hey, give them more painkillers. Well, you're just making me more of a drug addict, you know? And then when I got out of the military, I made a choice not to do it anymore. But I want to explain to you my process of getting out. You know, it took, you know, really 23 years to train who I was. It took 5 days to get out of the Army. 5 days. During the war, we have been injured, right? And being who we are a national asset. So they're going to give you whatever it takes for you to perform. And at that time, you know, I was prescribed painkillers. You know, wow, what a powerful energy. Numbs you. Not just from this physical pain that I feel, it numbs my mind from this emotional pain. So I did, and used it. And it numbed me. So at one point in my life, I was addicted to painkillers. Carrying one painkiller in my coin pocket. Waiting for the next feeling that I'm gonna have to numb it. Wanted to hide. It was 2016. I was wearing my uniform, you know, putting on my dress blues. You know, I was kind of think about the journey, having a really bad day. You know, I was in a bad place in my life, trying to look for the next purpose. My mother, she flew in for my retirement, and I remember it was raining that day. I was really stressed out. Couldn't even enjoy, you know, the moment. And it was raining. I apologized to my mother, and I said, you know, Mom, I'm sorry it's raining. I'm sorry that nothing's ever going right, you know. And my mother, you know, she reminded me that, you know, with the rain, you know, the rain is needed. That the rain washes away the old and allows for the new. You know, I remember thinking about that, and when I was lost, you know, and I was facing, you know, my addictions, and I had no purpose. You know, I had to reflect on, you know, the next evolution of my life. You know, I just got out of the military. I was facing depression. A warrior, who conquers himself is mightier than 1,000 times 1,000 men in 1,000 battles. Where? You know, after my 23 years, I came to this crossroad. When I saw the worst in humanity, when this hate consumed me. So, what made me who I am as a warrior of Bushido? It was discipline. I realized that at 11 years old. To be this commando, to be this force, you have to have discipline. You have to have extreme discipline when nobody else is looking. It's through the suffering, it's through the hardship, is when you find your inner strength. Do not look for an easy life. Bruce Lee once said, do not look for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a hard one. The thing is, you need to hit your life with intensity. We have one life. Why not live it with meaning, with purpose? It's not how long you live, it's how you choose to live. When a champion is a person that gets spit on, flicked off, and yet they still stand. A champion is a person that keeps a promise to the one they love most. A champion doesn't allow the conditions and circumstances to influence. They influence the situations by the actions they take every single day. In life, we need to be a champion. Remember this, guys. One moment can change the day. And one day can change a life, and one life that could change the world. I started writing down. I didn't carry this sack of stones like the monk did. I started writing down my thoughts within the moments. What bothered me? Who is the person I wish to become from this bad day? I wish to be kind. You know, in a warrior culture, kindness is looked down upon as a weakness. But if I seek the path of peace, I must be kind. So I was that guy, right? So to practice kindness, I would go out into public places and I just wish people a great day. And I do this even to today. And I've been doing it for 6.5 years. I wake up every morning, I sit on my deck and I meditate and I take pictures of this beautiful landscape and environment. As the sun comes up, I wish everybody a beautiful day. You see, that's a practice. So here I am, you know, practicing all this, going around America, and the power of the universe, you know, working on yourself. Then History Channel called me, and then, you know, I did 3 seasons on the History Channel. But I want to tell you this, because people, you know, when I was the first day in the History Channel, you know, movie star trailer. They pick you up, drive you 500 meters to set. Makeup artist, 15 cameras on you. But I was in a place of darkness. Door's 15 yards away is a pulled door. Man is about 5 yards away. Blade is to his right hand. You see, it was a knife show. I could funnel my enemy into this position here because it's so natural, right? To look at that, because in my world, it was about survival. And I couldn't move past that energy. And here I am, 15 cameras, you know? What people don't know is I'm super shy and insecure. Think about it. I was raised, spitted on, told I didn't belong. You think I just have this self-confidence? I didn't. I was defeated. I was working on myself. You know, and here I am, you know, rising star, you know, in international, you know, television, broadcasts through 15 different countries. Never saw it. Never enjoyed it. You know, and my wife and I, we would travel in between filming and we would continue to train. And then Infinity Ward, Call of Duty called me. And they asked us to do motion capture. And eventually we became a character on there. Still, never saw it. Traveling around the world, giving keynote speaking, helping others now, working on myself, trying to work on myself every day. And then people are like, can you help me? Can you talk to these people? Can you help them? Can you help these veterans? Me? I'm working on myself. But I did. I helped as much as I could. You know, and now that I'm a video game character, why not help? Why not help the youth? Why not help them? Why not give them the direction? So I do. I go to high schools and I talk to the high school kids. I talk to elementary school kids now. What is your truth? You know, to live a life that's full. You know, people, they look at me, right, and they think that it's always been like that. You know, they forget that first I came from nothing. I'm a refugee. I came from, I slept with the rats in a refugee camp for over a year and a half. Nothing was given to me. My parents came here with absolutely nothing. No freedom, no country, nothing. I wasn't accepted. What an amazing journey, and now that I look back, it started with me. You want the world to be a better place, and it starts with you. And he who conquers his own self is mightier than 1,000 times 1,000 men in 1,000 battles. And understand in life, you are your own enemy. You know, and that's why I mean, who are you? Who are you? You know, and what do you represent? Because that's your brand. You know, if you don't know who you are, then how can you be an entrepreneur? What are you good at? You know, what are you willing to dedicate your life to understanding at a deeper level and not just a surface level, you know? Surface level is, you know, hearing what somebody else says and regurgitating what somebody else says. That's 99% of the world. I heard this is actual truth, and I'm going to regurgitate it, and now you live that lie, whatever it is. You know? Absorb it, take it in, but it doesn't have to be actual truth, right? So the thing about being an entrepreneur is you gotta know who you are, man, and you know, and what are you good at, and if you do, if you know who you are and what you're good at, well, I'll tell you, nobody else is going to tell you who you are, because in the industry, people are going to tell you who you are. They're going to tell you what you are and what they think you are, but none of it's true unless you believe in it. Believe in yourself, you know, and being an entrepreneur exercises that every single day, you know. So after, Luke, you're in this conversation too. So after, you know, we met each other and you kind of sit into some of my ideals and philosophy, does it make you think about some of the things that you're going through with a different eye?
I mean, the biggest, like I said, the biggest one for me was the, you know, the ripples. And it's a practice that I'd love to do myself, because that's the way I kind of see the world, is like we're like ripples on the ocean, if that makes sense. Like and the bigger the splash, like the more ripples you can make and impact people's lives.
Yeah, I love it, man.
I think you do that, Luke. I think that's been your philosophy since you started.
Hey, look, Luke, you know, hearing that you're the one who helps with the, you know, post-editing, that's your style. Man, I tell you, man, like when I had my bad days, you know, when I really had my bad days, I would reach out to, you know, motivational stuff, right? Just, you know, in the morning it's so important to reach out to the motivational stuff, you know. It's, and what I love about what you did, you and your brothers, is that, you know, generally you want to help people, right? That's the content, right? You want to help people through different ideals, philosophies, through maybe role models that you film and then put into this artistry, right? Because it's art. So what I'm saying to you is your ripple hit me. You know? It's amazing how things that we do impact so many people.
Sorry.
It's weird, like, from where me and Jordan are from, it's like, I just feel like we're in a movie right now, to be honest. I feel like we're in a movie. Like, this is just not, this was never in my mind, ever. It's like you said, you go after a goal, but you don't, it's not, well, for me it was never fixed. I don't know for Jordan, but like, I just feel like we're just taking this and running with it, you know?
You have to. No expectations.
Yeah.
No expectation, wherever the universe takes you. But the thing is this, you cannot have no control over the externals. But what you do have is, man, I'm passionate, and my goal is to help out as many people as possible. If that's your goal, you're going to be an amazing artist. Because that's a purpose. My goal is to make money. You're not going to be anything. You see? And that's where the ripple comes in effect. What is your goal? I want to affect as many people as possible, and I want to help. Wow, that's a powerful energy, right? That's a powerful energy led by compassion, love. You're gonna make it. You know, too. I want to make a lot of money. I want a bigger house, bigger car. That's fueled off of greed. Greed is tied to jealousy. Jealousy is tied to hate. You understand? Energies are tied to each other. And because you chose an energy, well, man, that's the strongest energy is love. Right? Love and compassion. You chose an energy of love and compassion because you chose, well, you said it, I want to be a ripple. There you go, my friend. Right? That's being an artist. We can't take materialistic things with us. We can't take money, but what we can take is fulfillment, knowing that we gave it all in this lifetime, knowing that we failed, but yet we got up, that we believe in ourselves even when others didn't, and that our purpose was higher than ourselves. You said it, Luke. My purpose is to help others. Man, that's so powerful. You know?
It's like when you talk about the universe as well, like, I don't, like, there's been so many moments where me and Jordan have wanted to not like quit but stop because of, you know, self-gratification, or, but it's weird that it feels like we've almost pulled or not forced but pushed onto this path. So many moments where people would come up to me and say, you know, how the videos have impacted them, and that is just enough to just go, okay, cool, and I know I'm on the right path. And it's just, every time I have a low moment, it normally for some reason seems to hit me right at the right moment.
Well, you know, look, you know, people, we don't live in the present moment, my friend. Right? We don't live in the present moment. So a lot of times we don't see how beautiful our journey is. sometimes it's good to reflect back. And, you know, and I'm happy that you're hearing all that, because that's so great that you're making an impact and you're helping out people. You know, and not everybody has the answers. Not everybody has the answers in this world. So if you don't have the answers, and somehow you lost your way and you became this horrible human being that you don't want to be, what does society do? They judge you, they criticize you, they mock you, they make fun of you, they kick you when you're down. But what if I tell you, offer a hand, help them, you know, help them, you know, and we forget that, right? We forget what it means to be something more than ourselves, because we live in this world where we're driven by greed, we're driven by expectations, we're driven by all this, right? And in the end, it's like you said, you know, I want to help others, and that is so powerful. It's the strongest energy, and you're going to succeed because that's so powerful. You know, so the universe is what brought us together. The universe. You know, you have to be thankful, and you have to embrace it, and then you have to look at the larger game. What are you and I doing together? Why did the universe connect us? What are we doing together? Two, I just want to motivate others. Wow. Me too. You see? We're on the same journey.
This is what we love to do. Like, I think it is one of those pinch me things, isn't it, Luke? When,
yeah.
You know, I think we said this just the other day. We was driving through Texas, and the idea that we are driving through Texas was such a shift if we take ourselves back to where we were 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and yeah, I just feel blessed.
Every point as well, we put every bit of money we had.
Yeah.
And that's still the case. It's never seemed forced.
No, it's just...
It's never been like, oh, we're trying to push this together and it's not working. It's just every moment we have is it can be difficult, but it's never forced.
Again, it comes down to that thing of like, it's a passion. It's really enjoyable for us.
That's awesome.
Like it's easy to wake up and go to work. It's not a chore. It's where I want to be. We're so feeling very blessed at the moment. It's been very enjoyable, and also the opportunity to film your shoot as well was fantastic. Again,
yeah, I think that, you know, there's such different. You know, I think back to what we filmed. You know, so many different contracts. You know, okay, so the war room, but yet I'm sitting in Zen. You know. The rain, very violent. You know, the training, unconventional. Like, that's not normal to see that type of training at home. Like, the gym setting up like that, you know? And then entrepreneurship. Like, so many different... And then tomorrow is about fitness and health and mind. And, you know, I just think that we really gave a lot of material where I think that, you know, a lot of people will resonate with. Bruce Lee, you know, like, wow, what a great subject, you know?
I mean, the thing is the artist in me and the artist in Luke, we think of the piece, you know, we're thinking of those 4 or 5 pieces, the main documentary piece, but at the end of the day as well, the content